standard flat sealing surfaces such as gate valves and globe valves, and is not for online grinding. Both valve seats and valve cores can be ground. This model has now been widely used in industries such as power generation, chemical engineering, and metallurgy. First, let's introduce the main structure of this model. The weight of this equipment without accessories is approximately 1.2 tons. With accessories, it is approximately 1.3 tons. This weight can be easily moved in the workshop. Pallet trucks, forklifts, and overhead traveling cranes can all complete this task. The main body of this machine has the following dimensions. The length is 1.8 meters. The width is 70 centimeters. The height is approximately 2.5 meters. Are some operating handles and handwheels in these areas. The dimensions just mentioned do not include these operating pads. When users plan the site, should take these spaces into consideration. The grinding range of this model is from finity 5 to physics 150. This range refers to the diameter range of the grinding discs along with the device, and the corresponding valve diameters are DN100-600. Please pay attention to distinguish. It should be noted that the range just mentioned is the standard configuration range of this model. If users have smaller valves that need to be ground by this machine, some functions of this machine can be expanded, and some special accessories can be added. The grinding range of this machine can be extended to DN20 to DN600. Of course, for the extended range, users need to increase some corresponding costs. Let's talk about two important parameters of this model: the maximum height of the valve and the maximum probing depth. First, the maximum height of the valve for grinding is 1.35 米. Whether the grinding valve seat is placed upright or horizontally, the distance from the valve port to the lowest end of the valve cannot exceed 1.35 meters. Otherwise, even if our main shaft is raised to the highest position, it cannot reach into the valve. Next is the maximum probing depth of the main shaft, which is 750 millimeters. That is the depth that the main shaft can reach into the valve when it is lowered to the lowest position. If the distance between the valve flange and the grinding surface of the valve exceeds 720 millimeters, this machine cannot reach the sealing surface and therefore cannot grind. That's the maximum height and the maximum probing depth of the valve are the two most important parameters that determine whether this model can grind your valve. Before grinding, it must be determined by referring to relevant materials or by measurement. Next, let's introduce several main parts of this model. This model includes the base, workbench, column, rocker arm, main shaft, and control cabinet. The base is the foundation of the entire machine. The other components such as the workbench, column, and control cabinet are all installed on the base. Well, this is the workbench component. The structure of this workbench is a bit more complex, and the main purpose is to be suitable for the clamping of different types of valves. This workbench surface has three clamping mechanisms. One is centering V-shaped block. Another is the pressure plate. And the third is the right angle bending plate. I will introduce how to clamp in three cases: the gate valve seat, the globe valve seat, and the valve core. When clamping the gate valve seat, it can be directly clamped by the self-centering V-shaped block holding the flange, or the flange back can be pressed by the success pressure place for clamping. When clamping the globe valve seat, a splint can be added on the V-shaped block, or a bending plate can be used to fix one end of the flange for clamping. When clamping the valve core, the V-shaped block or the pressure plate can be used for clamping. Then we introduce the rocker arm lifting part. This is the column, rocker arm, lifting motor, lifting gearbox, lifting lead screw, and locking handle. The lifting of the rocker arm is controlled by controlling the forward and reverse rotation of the lifting motor. The rocker arm can also swing around the column. If the valve to be ground is too large or too high, the valve can be placed on the ground. Swing the main shaft out of the workbench to expand the installation space of this model. There are 2 points to note here. First, the handle should be loosened before each lifting, and the handle should be locked after positioning. Second, when lifting, be careful not to exceed the highest and lowest points of the column. That is, don't over-travel to prevent damage to the lifting transmission mechanism. Now let's introduce the main shaft system. This is the main shaft motor, connecting sleeve, main shaft body, and probing arm. The standard main shaft of this model is the direct drive type. The motor is directly connected to the main shaft drive shaft through the coupling. Then the power is transmitted to the probing arm and grinding disc. The probing arm of the main shaft can be equipped with universal heads, direct drive head, or expansion heads for grinding small valves. Insert the main shaft into the installation hole on the rocker arm and connect and fix it with the lifting block. The main shaft can move within a range of 300 up and down by manually rotating the lifting machine. Note that the main shaft locking handwheel should be loosened before each lifting. After positioning, the handwheel should be locked to keep the main shaft stable. Finally, let's introduce the operation method of the control panel and the wired control switch. Here is the control panel. The functions of the buttons are as follows. Power lock, the main switch of the control circuit. Power lock, the main switch of the control circuit. The equipment can be operated only after the power lock is turned on. Power indicator light indicates the power on of the control circuit. Rocker arm up, rocker arm down. Left movement, right movement. Main shaft forward rotation, main shaft reverse rotation, main shaft stop. Buttons are clear at a glance. The main shaft speed control handle control the frequency converter to achieve the purpose of speed regulation. Introduction of the wired control switch. Emergency stop switch, used for the power off button in an emergency. Use it after troubleshooting. The up and down buttons control the lifting of the rocker arm, and right buttons control the left and right movement of the workbench. Control switch is suitable for use when the valve alignment and can be operated remotely for more flexible operation. After introducing the main structure, let's introduce the operation method of this model. The operation steps are as follows. Firstly, connect the power supply. Open the door of the electrical box. Turn on the power switch. Jog the lifting switch and check if the action is correct before proceeding with the operation. Adjust the height positions of the main shaft and the rocker arm. Groom on the workbench for clamping the valve. Then clamp the valve firmly. We have already introduced the clamping method before. Take the gate valve as an example. Select the appropriate grinding disc and install it on the grinding disc connector. Paste the sandpaper. Put the grinding disc into the valve. Then jog the lifting switch. Make the rocker arm rise and fall to the appropriate height. Push the rocker arm to align the center of the grinding disc with the center of the valve sealing surface. Raise and lower the rocker arm to the appropriate position. Tighten the rocker arm. After completing the above actions, rotate the lifting handwheel of the main shaft. Insert the ball head into the ball seat. Press the grinding disc onto the sealing surface. Apply an appropriate force. Compress the main shaft spring to make the force appropriate. Tighten the main shaft. Adjust the position of the probing ring and fix it. Finally, jog the start switch for a test run and inspection. After confirming there are no obstacles, set the rotation speed of the main shaft. Perform grinding and repair until the sealing requirements are met. Precautions. Operators are required to wear goggles and appropriate work clothes. It's not allowed to operate with gloves, and long hair must be neatly gathered. The work site organized and orderly. Disorder can easily cause accidents. The grinding machine cannot be used or stored in rainy, snowy, or humid environments during work. The power supply must be disconnected before replacing or repairing any components of the grinding machine. During any rotating operation, it is strictly prohibited for any part of the body to enter the rotation range of the main shaft. Special statement. This video briefly explains the usage method of the equipment and the precautions related to the personal safety of the operators. It does not cover all aspects of the equipment. To learn about the equipment and other aspects in detail, carefully read the user manual.